Hi and welcome back to the Bodyful Minds Podcast. Today's episode is a little different. It's the first in a new series of conversations. From now on, you'll not only hear my reflections and tools, but also stories and insights from other mothers and experts whose work connects with mine in meaningful ways. My goal is to help you find inspiration in what's been possible for other moms and to discover different ways to approach the challenges we all share so you can choose what truly fits your personality and context. Think of these conversations as a menu to pick and choose from, helping you thrive from where you are right now. My guest today is Ginny, and I want her to tell you more herself. I'll only say this much. I love about her story how she found her way back to calm and creativity in the middle of chaos. And she wants to share this with you too. Let's dive in. Today, I have a guest here. We'll start with a quick fire round question before we get to know her a bit more. So, Ginny, what do you prefer, coffee or tea?
Yes, coffee's usually my first drink in the morning, and a cup of tea in the afternoon is a nice little comfort.
Awesome. Yes. And running or yoga? Or neither?
I'm going to go with bicycling.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. I get the best ideas bicycling. I can relate to that. What's the best time of day for you to feel most productive?
Early mornings, which surprised me.
Oh, okay.
It's a little more recent, but
sometimes kids help with that, I find.
Mm-hmm.
Sneakers or heels?
Sneakers.
All right. Now, if there was one word that describes motherhood for you right now, what would that be?
Adjusting. Adjusting. Okay, 3 words. Adjusting to more calm.
Great, I love it. If you had to describe your career journey in one sentence, what would that be?
It's not been what I expected when I started, but it's been good.
Great, fantastic. Now with that, why don't you introduce yourself a bit more beyond those fun questions we just had and the ones that were already scratching the surface of what we're going to go into within the next half hour or so.
Yeah, so my name's Ginny. I live in New Mexico, Albuquerque, with my family. I am a geologist and I'm an artist, and a parent in a neurodiverse family. We love to go hiking and camping and just get outside and enjoy the beautiful scenery a lot.
All right, that sounds wonderful. I think you already mentioned it, that you're a geologist and an artist. For our listeners, that's maybe sounds like not a natural connection, but maybe you want to talk a bit more about your career path, also how it differed now before and after motherhood.
Yeah, so I have always been very creative, and I've also always loved knowing how the world works. So I decided to study geology in college. Actually, I started off studying both, but figured I'd focus on geology because you could always do art on the side, right? So I've been working as a professional in environmental remediation for about 15 years now. I went down to part-time when I had my kids, my oldest, and on the days that I'm not working these days, my original thought was I'd probably go back to full-time after they were school age, but then I was needing to be available for more urgent situations, being called for pickup, things like that. And then I found that on the times when I had time at home, I could draw, I could do pottery, and I didn't want to give that up. So I'm doing both, and I'm focusing on building some more specific work around art and around art for well-being specifically, and teaching other overwhelmed humans about how you can use art to help with your baseline level of calm and regulation, and then to just restore when things are stressful and help your body and your brain process stress.
That sounds wonderful. Do you want to tell us a bit more how that works? How you've managed personally to incorporate it? I mean, you just said you had to reduce your hours anyways, and then you found the time there. But I imagine also maybe for other mothers, it might be hard to carve out that time. Maybe tell us a bit about how you started, but also about how you think this can work for other moms who are not necessarily part-time, who could be part-time, but who many moms are also still working full-time and juggling it all and are thinking like, but how am I going to sit down, I don't know, mix up colors or dyes depending on what art they do, or get the clay out. So yeah, tell us a bit about your process maybe and how it all started for you.
Right. Yeah. Now I'm at a point where when I'm not in the office, I do have time to dive into that. But a few years ago, that was not the case. My kids were both preschool age when COVID started, so they were in part-time school. But then with the lockdowns and my oldest started kindergarten remotely, we were doing everything as many people were, just from our home without extra support. Remote kindergarten, super extroverted little brother, and there were no spare moments. And that's during that time, I started off by doing a daily 4x4 square, a doodle with some watercolors, because from being creative my whole life, I just kind of had this innate knowing sense that doing something creative would help get through this really stressful situation. And at that point, I usually ended up staying up a little bit too late at night, which meant a little more sleep deprivation, which was not so helpful. But as time went on, later that year, I also joined a program for parents of out-of-the-box kids, mostly neurodivergent like mine. And we talked a lot about self-care, and this is a group where people don't have time to do an hour of exercise and take long bubble baths and the things that our brains often associate with self-care. The tiny little things we can do was really stressed and taught in that program. And that helped me make a critical shift with using art as a way to help with a stressful situation, where I could put on a calming piece of music that was about 5 minutes long, do a doodle for the duration of that, and then be done. And it still gave me a little bit of daily creativity, that breath of calm. And yeah, 5 minutes is possible. Staying up 5 minutes later doesn't really mess with your sleep and may actually help it if you're doing something that helps to settle your brain. 5 minutes in a school pickup line or during your lunch break. Those are places where we can find those micro pockets that actually does build up and make a difference.
Yeah, that sounds fabulous and so doable also. Now I'm wondering, if I were to start this, do I need to kind of be fully focused on the process? You mentioned doodling. I remember doodling in school.
And it helps memory retention.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I was listening and I was doodling, but I don't remember where my mind went when I was doodling, if I was really attentively listening or if that was just happening there. But I'm wondering now, if for it to have the benefit, do I kind of need to fully put my attention into the doodling, or is it okay to, like you said, with a lunch break, if I eat in between, maybe I'm just, how can I imagine that working? Does it need full attention? Can I do it on the side kind of thing? And what if I think, oh, but I'm absolutely not creative? Why would that help me if I don't feel like I'm creative?
Yeah, so how much attention it needs. I would say to give it your full attention, but it's just for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So it's not taking up the whole lunch break. It's a 5-minute point of calm. And part of that is because it helps us get out of our logic brains and where our language processing, and that helps the connection between our brain and body and like physically processing some of that stress that doesn't happen on a logical level, words and language level. So that's why I would recommend full focus. And you don't need to be an artist to get that benefit of that repetitive motion of dipping a little bit into that flow state. One of the things I recommend, you just need something to draw on and something to draw with. So it can be as simple as it can be a Post-it note. It can be a scrap piece of paper, margins of a notebook, and it could be a gel pen or a pencil, anything. And then one simple pattern or stroke that you can repeat. So I've done some where it's just a series of little dashes, like tally marks, that earlier this year I was doing specifically. I had a little tiny notebook, it was 3 by 3 inches, and I'd pick one simple mark. And for the duration of this calming music that I had, I would do something so simple like a tally mark. And when I was done, I just stop. And for the music, one easy way to get something calming is on YouTube. You can just search for like 5-minute timer with calming music or ambient noise. There's lots available.
It's kind of so you're in a whole state of mind. You kind of, the music is going to help you in your body to be in your body in that state of mind, right? Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that the idea, to kind of also click, now is the time for my art? Is that to associate that? Yeah. That sounds so great. And I feel like, at Bodyful Minds, I'm a lot about coming back to your body. I'm talking a lot about grounding yourself, and everybody's so different. There's so many ways of doing that. But I feel like art is something where you are getting out of your head. It's coming out of your head, and at the same time, you're creating something physical, whatever that may be. And that is such a wonderful way. And yeah, it's really great that you are offering that for other mothers and as an option. And so are you teaching that already, or how can people connect to you to see how you work? And is anything upcoming?
Yeah, so I'm starting on teaching that, and I've had in the past few years a couple of in-person opportunities, and I have an email list, a newsletter, that goes out regularly that gives some encouragement and ideas and some like little short tutorials to help get started with like 2 pages with big easy buttons for things like grab a pen and a sticky note. And so upcoming, depending on when this airs, at the end of October, I'm doing a free workshop that really is designed to give you the first taste of this practice. So we actually, we walk through the basics of exactly what I do at the beginning of my day, with how to find time, how to set your scene, and then some basic doodle patterns that you don't need any background to start. So that's happening at the end of October. I'm planning to do another one probably mid to late January. So if this airs after the upcoming one, then that'll be another opportunity. I have a wait list for that to sign up, jinnybrock.com/waitlist. And that gets you immediately that free tutorial. And then you'll get the emails to help support that practice. Whether or not, no matter when this airs, that link will be available, and it'll be a good way to connect and get started.
Perfect. Yeah, and it really sounds so accessible and doable. And like you say, not everybody can fit in exercise an hour or so, and like 5 minutes is really accessible. What I'm wondering still, to wrap this up, is if there's just one thing that you'd love other mothers to take away from your own story, but also from your own expertise, what would that be?
I think there's a really big misconception out there that tiny amounts of time don't actually do anything. And what I would love to encourage other mothers out there is that it really does add up. Your brain is getting a regular tiny signal that you're taking care of yourself, that you're safe. And we've had some pretty stressful periods of time. My kids have had different struggles that have required a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of mental energy, and having a routine, consistent practice has really helped me get through, to help my baseline regulation stay at a level where I could respond from my logic brain and with calm when things were super stressful. The tiny moments actually matter.
That's wonderful. I think the tiny moments actually matter is so perfect. So if you were to think of one small moment recently where you felt most like yourself, grounded, connected, what would that be? If you want to share, if you feel like sharing.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this one, and what came to mind is actually a routine, a habit that I've built. On once a week this week, I drop off one of my kids at school. We listen to an audiobook on the way, so there's a connection with him. And then I'm able to go park and ride my bike down a nature trail. So you have that outdoor and activity. And then I sit at a coffee shop for a couple of hours and work on my art business. And then continue riding my bike into my office and work on my geology job. And it's just that combines all the things that routine feeds: the family connection, the art that I'm diving into, and the science career that I really enjoy, because I'm a huge nerd.
Well, that sounds really wonderful and really perfect. I love it. Great. Ginny, thank you so much for taking the time and coming here. And we'll put all the info in the show notes where people can find you. And I really also recommend following Ginny on Instagram. I love her stories where she is like sharing her everyday practice and adding every time a little bit. Yeah, if I didn't misunderstand that, I really love that.
Yes.
And it shows how accessible it is, what you do, and what amazing things you can create also. So definitely go check that out. I highly recommend it. Thank you so much, Ginny. And I hope to hear more from you, and maybe we'll have another interview coming up later.
Sounds good. Definitely. This is good to talk to you today.
Thank you, Ginny.